everybody, it's Val from Valslist, and welcome to There's a Band in My Basement, episode 2, and we have one of my favorite bands on the planet, TheAccidentals, with us today. So welcome, guys. They're coming from their attic in Michigan.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Can you tell me a little bit about your venue?
Yeah, we can. Kate, you want to talk about the attic studio that we built?
We got a name for it now, an official name. We started a Patreon page and polled everyone on there for what we should call our studio. Was it Blue Atticus?
Atticus Blue.
Atticus Blue. So welcome to Atticus Blue, and this is our little live stream room, and it also serves as our merchandise fulfillment center.
We built partitions out of cardboard boxes, and a bed flipped upside down, and mic stands, T-pose with comforters over them. We're really making it work.
Stretches on empty spaces all day long. We'll shatter silence when we're done, 'cause I'm your vessel and you're my soul. All sense of your perspective, and my falling back is standing still. I guess it's all subjective. Tell me something, is this wrong? Every cure we thought was there is gone. But we'll be outrun. 'Cause I'm your vessel and you're my soul. To where we wanna be, we'll get to where we wanna be, we'll get to where we wanna be, get to where we wanna be, we'll get to where we wanna be, 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 get to where we wanna be.
Crowd goes nuts. We miss you guys like mad. I mean, we're used to, even when you're not doing a Valslist gig, if you're coming through Chicago, a lot of times you call us and stay with us, and you'll even drive from a downtown gig up to the burbs to stay with us, and you have no idea what a gift that is. And it's that magic when you're here that we're trying to convey in this new series of There's a Band in My Basement. I mean, you guys have literally slept in my basement how many times? Like 100 times?
We've lost
too many
count.
to count.
Yeah, lost count of how many times we've crashed at the house and gotten bagels and run through the pouring rain.
For a long time, it felt like we were home whenever we made it to your house, Val. It was like, oh, we're back home, more than we were.
I know, and I feel like your mother.
Memory foam mattresses.
Yes.
That's the most important. That's key.
Mattress and the best shower.
Oh, the best showers.
The best shower. Mark Haller will love that. He loves showers. So if you're complimenting our shower, that's huge. We want to know a little bit about you. And so would you each describe the person to your left? I gotcha.
I'm actually prepared for this. I guess the person to my left is Michael, who I would say Michael is like our resident dad figure of the group, and that he's always making sure that we're like pumping gas with the car shut off, and like drinks a gallon of coffee every day, and like really keeps us all together and centered and safe. So that's like Michael's role in the band. But as far as like who he is as a person, he is like one of the biggest hearts. He's so nerdy. We've all played D&D together in the past, settled like a ton, and like yeah, I just love him to death. So that's Michael. Oh yeah, and he plays drums. Oh wait, the big one is that he plays more than drums. He also writes songs. He's recorded his own solo project. It's called Tree Skin. It's a record for sad dads, and by that I mean if you've ever cried to a Wilco album, then this is the album for you. It's really amazing, and the album he put out is called Learning, and I just adore it. It's all about dealing with anxiety. So
the person to my left is Katie Larson. She is kind of the glue that kind of holds us all together mentally. She's always checking in with us. She's the voice of reason.
Oh wow!
A lot of the time, you know, when Katie is giving an opinion, everybody will listen because you know, everything's very well thought out. She's also kind of the grandmother of the group. Like, I have seen her sitting in a rocking chair on a porch knitting before, so she is very much in that zone.
she's also eating prunes that day.
Yes,
so,
she was
yeah.
also eating prunes that day, which just, you know.
Great for digestion. All right, so to finish off our group, you know, usually we say Michael's our dad, I'm the grandma, and Sab is like our band cat, because you can find her sometimes sprawled out on the floor taking a nap in a little pile of sunshine. But Sab is so selfless and hardworking, and we'll get into it later, but her first reaction to being stuck indoors for quarantine was studying live streaming and publishing like a 40-page guide for artists who are intimidated by the technology but want to learn to do online concerts. So she's also allergic to mint, so it's hard to find toothpaste for her.
So you've lived together forever in a van, on the road, in a hotel room. Now that you're quarantined together in like one room, have you developed any habits that are either new or that you don't like with each other, or that you do like with each other? Any new things that have come up?
I started drinking coffee.
Did you?
There's not as much of a adrenaline cycle that you get in, I feel like, so I've just been really doing that every day. That's very new, because when we toured, Sav and I quit caffeine.
Yeah. I picked up like a little bit of coffee, but I'm still not like really into it. I think it really, like, we're stuck in an attic. Where am I going to put out all the energy, you know?
And it's been really interesting, Val. Like, we've been doing so much more live streaming. There's been a whole different landscape on how to perform without an audience. But also, one positive thing is that in between songs, we will just take a break and interact with the audience. Like, we'll have a conversation with them through the chat that we would have been able to done unless it was like at the merch table after the show.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how live streaming shows have changed the atmosphere, and whether or not audiences are going to want to banter more afterwards and be like, have that same energy of us being able to talk to them and them to talk to us, like while we're on stage instead of waiting till after the show.
You guys are voracious readers, and I've known you since you were quite young. I'm trying to think how old you were when I first met you.
We were probably
you
16 or 17.
Mm-hmm. So 16. I mean, you guys were just high schoolers and already on this trajectory that was going to go somewhere. And I remember even your look is different. So you have to grow up in front of the public and grow up in front of the audience. And I mean, you went from Sav, you wore a cat dress and cat tights, which were like,
thank you for
your
that
signature rage. You used to sell those with your merch.
Yeah.
And then, but as you grew up, you changed your hair, you changed your clothing, you changed your vibe, and all of it's authentic. You just were growing up in front of our eyes. Tell us what that's like to grow up publicly when your look matters.
I don't feel like we grew up in public as much, you know. We are like in northern Michigan for a lot of the time. We all have our private lives too, and we have hobbies like archery, gardening, reading, etc. But a lot of what we do is really authentic to who we are as well. Like, Katie was talking about our Patreon page earlier, and I think one of the coolest parts about Patreon is we're not trying to do anything that we aren't already comfortable talking about. You know, we have a weekly tour blog where we talk about the things that matter to us. We have a podcast where we talk about the inspiration behind the songs. These are things that we already love doing, like reading and podcasting. We have a book club that we do with our patrons. We have an album review club where we talk about music, you know. So I guess, you know, there's a line that we try to have in between, like, what goes on in our public life and what goes on in our private life. But at the same time, like, so much of what we do is really authentic to our sound. It's not hard to wear that, you know, all the time.
For people who don't know what Patreon is, it's Patreon, and you can look it up. But it's a way to be a patron of the arts and sort of help, especially emerging artists who have so much promise, but the industry is just so tough to penetrate. There's some, you know, everybody can self-publish their own music and put it out there. So there's just so much of it that finding the diamonds in the rough is tricky. That's why I love being a filter or an influencer in my own little way, bringing you audiences and getting your name out there. I think your voracious reading appetites definitely impact your writing, your songwriting. What do you think? Do you agree with that?
Definitely. Yeah, we've written quite a few songs based off books, and that's one thing we've actually started teaching. Like, now that we've been going into schools in 2018 and 2019 and talking to people of all ages who want to learn how to write, that's one of the first things we tell them, because we wrote a lot of our first songs off of lines that we read in books that affected us profoundly. And sometimes if you don't know where to start, it's really good to put yourself in someone else's shoes and write from, you know, a different character's perspective or something that impacts you.
Yeah, even the you know, even the whole message behind this album coming out is about seeing different perspectives and trying to place yourself in different pairs of shoes and looking out from that viewpoint. And books do such an amazing job of that. You know, the very concept of the album revolves a lot around planes, because when I was really young, I read a book about Albert Einstein's theory of relativity, and it broke it down into the way that you look at planes and how they travel. It's like when you're on the ground and you're looking up at a plane, it's like crawling across the sky at a really slow speed. And when you're in the plane, it feels like you're not moving at all. But in reality, this plane is going incredibly fast in order to get you to where you need to be within like an hour. And I don't know, I think it's interesting how that relates to, you know, whether or not you're moving at the right speed in life. I think we all have this issue where we can't tell if we're taking advantage of the time that we have until it's either too late or we've just put pressure on ourselves at a really young age. And I think the one way to kind of circumvent that is to be in the present. And that's kind of the whole thing that we've centered our album around. But books got us there pretty much, is being able to read from different perspectives and viewpoints, and therefore we wrote an album about it.
No, we don't have a big place. We're living in a suitcase. We're waiting out the storm. Yeah, the pipes are freezing over. It's only getting colder, but we've been keeping warm. Look at what we have. We get diamonds out of broken glass. It's just like us, and all that we can hold. Bits and pieces might as well be gold, shining in the dust. Yeah, the house is full of memories, all the anniversaries of people coming and going. No, we don't have to hide them, and learn to live beside them, and learn to carry on. Look at what we have. We get diamonds out of broken glass. It's just like us, all that we can hold. Bits and pieces might as well be gold, shining in the dust. sister's on the phone, and I know how the conversation goes. I see it in your eyes. She could find a thorn in any rose. No, it's not up to her to measure if it's trash or if it's treasure, if it's real or just a dream. 'Cause look at what we have. We get diamonds out of broken glass. It's just like us, all that we can hold. Our bits and pieces might as well be gold, shining in the dust. Might as well be gold, shining in the dust. Might as well be gold.
All right, song number 2, Completely Blown Away. You guys are classically trained. At least the 2 front girls are classically trained. But you decided to make a big pivot when you started your indie band, and you took your knowledge and your skills and you turned it into an edgy substance that just attracts people. Your fan base is massive. They are so faithful to you. What's your secret sauce? And tell us how you took something sort of in a box and went way outside the box.
Katie, what's our secret sauce?
Ooh, catch up now. I would say collaboration was one of the big things that helped grow us as a band and also grow our music. Sav and I met in our public school systems, and already our orchestra teacher was kind of introducing us to electric instruments and alternative styles, and Sav taught me a lot about folk music, and I was showing her like all these indie bands. But then once we started playing around town in northern Michigan, a lot of the musicians kind of welcomed us in, and we ended up jamming with the funk bands and the singer-songwriters, and that really helped broaden our sound and, give us a little more room for opportunity.
You guys are a super well-oiled machine. Your band is like a small business. And I say that all the time. Bands are like being a business or a startup. And when you're really new, you got to do everything yourself. You've got to book your things and write your music and figure out how to perform and all of that. You've learned from a really good teacher. Amber has taught you everything, and you literally are like a little company. Tell us more how you work. Like, each of you has a role. And what advice would you give a young band who's not doing that?
It's crucial to learn a little bit of everything if you want to, have a little more control over your business and your band and your life. And we have really gotten a huge education by learning the financial aspects of opening 3 different LLCs, working with different
Establishing
business
an
managers.
LLC in the first place. Yeah.
We've been pretty hands-on, especially with this new record, which we're putting out independently. We are doing all of the creative production on the music, and also making our own music videos and making our own storyboards. And when we're on the road, Sav does a lot of the advancing with the venues, and Michael is like, he could be a truck driver in another life because he can navigate the road like no one else, and he can drive all day and has a map in his head. And we've all been trying to learn a little bit more about engineering to make our album. So I think that's one piece of advice that has stuck with us that we would pass on, is to learn as much as you can.
And that can get overwhelming too. Like, don't get me wrong. It's really hard to be like, I want to engineer my own album, and then you have no idea where to start on that.
Sure.
And I think the key for us was just to ask questions and not be ashamed to do so. I think it's hard, especially as a young artist, to want to ask questions because you're afraid that people will look down condescendingly on you, or like think that
you're just kind of like not willing to do the work first, and you're going up and asking people these questions and inconveniencing them. We're always afraid as young people that we're inconveniencing that, and we're really not. People are looking to share advice, experience, and wisdom. They've worked their whole lives collecting that advice, experience, and wisdom, and it's a collaborative effort to make art. It always has been. We've always been inspired by each other to make more art. So that would be like my biggest piece of advice, and the biggest thing I learned would just be to ask questions when you need to, and to start off doing that if you ever feel overwhelmed.
God, I love that answer.
Sometimes our songs are like little time capsules, and we'll go
Yes.
back. Sometimes we'll end up playing a song that we wrote 5 years ago that we're just now learning the meaning of, or that seemed to ring true in a different way years later. And I think that's really awesome to be able to have that documented and have music videos from high school and look back and have that time capsule in order to keep
To an
everything
extent.
Well,
in
and it helps you
perspective a
kind of
little.
know how much you've grown as well, because
Totally.
sometimes it's hard to see the growth when you're in it. So being able to look
Exactly.
back at it is super fun
Oh my
sometimes, and you're like,
gosh,
oh my
yeah.
gosh, what was I doing?
I have journals from like 2016. I'm like, oh my gosh, you were so whiny. You were such a baby. You hadn't even gone through COVID or a van theft or anything.
Okay, let's talk about your name, The Accidentals, and sometimes shit happens, right?
Yes.
Should be our like logo tagline.
You guys have had some stuff happen that's not so great. So you've had your band robbed. You've backed over a violin, an expensive, like your best friend violin, and its case. 2 of them, Katie?
2 violins.
Oh, God.
They're in the same case. It was the same time.
Is that what happened?
So anyway, tell us a little bit about some of those foibles that have happened along the way and how you get back on track after that when you're devastated, basically.
Absolutely. Well, we've been on the road. We've done thousands of shows probably. So we've always tried to keep safety at the forefront. That's one of our top priorities. And we always try to keep mental, physical, emotional health and keep each other accountable and check in with each other. But like you said, things go wrong. So, after each of those events that you mentioned, one thing we always do is we rely on each other. So I would say, as we laid out earlier, we are literally our little band family. So that's been one thing that has always kept us going. But we've also tried to change our perspective, like we mentioned. Especially in the last few months, we've really been trying to focus on gratitude. And instead of looking at our trailer and our insurance issue and saying, oh, we lost all this gear, we kind of looked at our GoFundMe and our Patreon page and said we were able to replace this gear with our instrument sponsors and all of our new friends and fans who've been there for a long time all came together and helped us get back on our feet.
Yeah, I remember we do a lot of workshops for kids in different schools, and we were doing a workshop in Arkansas, and we were telling these stories of being on the road, and this one kid raised their hand and was like, why are you guys so unlucky? And we were like, actually, we find ourselves really lucky to be able to get back on our feet afterwards. Like, that's a real privilege to be able to, keep launching your career no matter what happens, no matter if your trailer's stolen or if your violins get run over, or if, everything falls apart. Like, we have always been built back up again thanks to sponsors, thanks to people like you, Val, who build communities for us to be able to come back to over and over again. Thanks to people on our Patreon who are truly there for life. Like, they are interested in the art process. Those are all incredible people that keep this band afloat, and we're lucky to know them.
Okay, we're going to have a little fun, and then we're going to wrap with the song. So a couple fire questions here. A thumbs up or thumbs down? Talking to strangers. Easy or hard? Easy or hard?
Depends on the day.
Yeah, I think it's gotten
And the
easier over
stranger.
time.
At a
You
show.
know what?
At a
I'll give
show.
it a thumbs up. I'll give it a thumbs
Yeah,
up.
thumbs up is good.
If there's a snow blizzard and you're in it, which of you would say, we have to stop and pull over, this isn't safe?
Me.
Okay, good. Wearing makeup.
Sideways thumb?
It's, what about it? Is it good or bad?
You like it, or you like to do it, or you don't like to do
like
it?
to do it?
Yeah, that's what it comes down.
I trying to do eyeliner, winged eyeliner every single day? Thumbs down.
Yeah,
Yeah, the bigger question is taking it off.
Yeah, for real.
Okay, the scenario is you're on stage, you're ready to come out, and you get on the stage, and the lighting is not what you want. Like something's definitely wrong that bugs you. Like it's too bright, or you know it's too white, or the sound check's too blah, blah, blah. What's everybody's initial reaction? Fake it or make it?
Fake it.
Fake it and point at Elle or Kira, our tour manager, and be like, come here. And then just like get really low on the ground, like kind of like I'm tuning, but I'm also like leaning in. I'm like, can you get the lighting guy to fix the lighting? It's too bright. It's right in my eyes. And she's like, got it. And then they run off. And that's how that gets fixed. It's easy as that. That's why we have a tour manager.
But if it's not fixable, can you let it go,
Yeah.
or do you stay bugged? I guess that was my real question.
I found myself, if anything has ever like bugged me during a show, as soon as the show is over, it completely just leaves. Like
Yeah.
I don't even remember what I was like upset about or something. Like it just leaves as soon as the show is over, because I'm like, it's done. It was what it was, and
Yeah.
we're just we
I'll
had a
think
good
about
show.
it for like 3 days.
Let's end a little bit on what you want to say to the world, especially today. You guys are a political threesome. You do have a lot to say, and you put it in your songwriting, and you take your stands. And so you must just be really feeling it right now. And why don't you just tell me a little bit about that, and why you say what you say and how you say it. And then we'll go into How Many Hands, your last song.
Well, what's funny is that this next song we're about to play does a lot of the talking for us, as most of our songs have done. But I think a lot of the issues that we focus on are apolitical. In fact, human rights is apolitical, in my opinion. I think the right for everybody to have a great education, especially youth education. We really are advocates for having music programs in youth education, because that's how we got our start. We're advocates of getting out the vote. We're advocates of, creating safe spaces at all of our concerts that are inclusive and available for everybody, regardless of anything at all. So those are all apolitical issues that we feel really strongly about. As a band, we don't vote, but as people, we absolutely do, and we think it's the most important thing, especially right now, to be able to have a voice in what goes on and have a say in how things are run. So this song does a lot of the talking for us. This is a song that's sort of a mantra going forward, especially it's a recent song that we wrote together, and we spent weeks on this song trying to figure out what we were going to say and how we were going to say it. And so every word is intentional. And it's called How Many Hands?
The hatchet's buried and nothing grew but a poison skyline, a deceptive blue. And we're all frozen while the world burns. How long until we're past the point of no return? Will you knock down the walls around your guilt? How many hands? How many hands does it take? How many hands does it take to get a grip? The earth is shaking under the drill. The surface tension about to spill. The milk and honey of our own design. How long until we have to leave it all behind? And where else could we go? How many hands? How many hands does it take? How many hands does it take to get a grip? bottom, the anchor's fast. We fear the future, we can't go back. And all around us, deceptive blue. How long until there's not a point of view? How many hands? How many hands does it take? How many hands does it take to get a grip? How many hands? How many hands does it take? How many hands does it take to get a grip?
Oh my God, you guys. That one's going to take a lot of people a lot of places. Thank you. It has been a pleasure. Can you tell me one last thing? What would be your dream stage to play on?
Red Rocks.
Red Rocks.
That's what I was going to say, and you all three said at the same time. Yay!
Yeah.
We got to get you there.
Or NPR's Tiny Desk concert.
Yeah, that would
one
also
too.
be awesome.
Yeah, Val, we just want to also say thank you for all the years of friendship and support. And when you're talking about venues, like before we got on the call, we were thinking of all the things that we've done with you, like going to the Chicago Botanical Gardens and playing before Pearl Jam at Wrigley Field, and all of the different, everything from a house concert to Winnetka Fest and everything in between. So thank you for doing what you do for artists like us.
Thank you. God, I was always so proud to take you to. I forgot about Wrigley Field. We did all those pre-concerts. Jeez, yeah, that was cool. It was the biggest, hugest pleasure to go. Do you want to open for Pearl Jam? If everybody wants to look you up, it's just easy. The Accidentals, they're all over YouTube. They're all over Spotify. And when does the new album come out?
Sometime early in 2021. Let me just double
Stay
check that.
tuned. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's
What
good.
are we s-
No official date
No
yet.
official date. We're still recording it is the problem.
Yeah, true.
We're recording it in our attic, so
But we have new music
But-
coming this year.
yeah.
Perfect. And thanks for giving us a sneak peek. That's what live shows are for. We get to see stuff that isn't just all out there. So good night, everybody. I love you three.
Oh, we love you too.
Say
Thank
hi
you,
to
Val.
Amber. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining us for episode 2 of our brand new artist series, There's a Band in My Basement. We're so excited to finally launch this. We've been working on it for a long time. These episodes will all live permanently on our Valslist YouTube channel. You can go there any time of day to watch, tune in. In fact, tell your friends to go over because we're trying to grow this community. The more the merrier. On your way out, please consider kissing the tip jar. Every penny will go to the band, and in this COVID quarantine time, every dollar means the world to them. So that's the one thing we can do for them. If you want to see the next episode, please follow us on social media because that's where we'll be posting all of the next times and dates of these episodes. Better yet, sign up for our mailing list. You'll get this information plus all of our information on new playlists and other perks that come with Valslist. See you soon.